Hi guys, welcome to Crypto EMC. My name is Rudo, and as you know, this is the Trade for a Living podcast. So today we're going to be looking at basically this week. I think is an important one because we're getting ready for an election week. It's the big US elections happening tomorrow, and I think that this will kind of for the next day or so kind of be like a handbrake on the market. You know, it's just going to chop and be range bound because there's indecision, rightfully so. Who's going to win and which monetary policy we're going to be moving into. So that means if we're looking at the Dixie, from a pure trending correlation standpoint, if ever that is a sentence, meaning when the Dixie is trending up, Bitcoin is in a bear market. And when the Dixie is selling down, Bitcoin is in a bull market. So your bear market bottoms get defined by the Dixie tops, and bull market tops gets defined by the Dixie bottoming out or finding support at critical levels. So if you look at this from a pure trending point of view, I'm going to take away the RSI really quick so we can just see it becomes, you can see that from 2015, the Dixie's been, chopping around in the upper end of the range, and then it went down to the lower end of the range, and then yet again in that direction, and it's potentially on its way to the lower end of the range, which means that from a macro point of view, I'm still really bullish on Bitcoin. I did, however, state to you guys, and my sentiment and thought is that it's not going to turn around on a single candle dime. It's going to take some time because there's a lot of mechanics that needs to happen before price is going to go back down. And when it's fast like this, the market will most of the time go and revisit those ranges. Okay, fast moves get tested. It's as simple as that. And so I'm expecting the Dixie to start selling off probably to the end of the week, maybe beginning next week. That's kind of the scale of time that I have for that, which means that Bitcoin is still probably not going to start pushing past all-time highs. When we look at the heat map, you can see that there's a little bit of a gap in liquidity still sitting in there. So there's orders potentially, very little orders there. So if the bus is empty, if it gets bought in this area and turns around, you kind of know. And when we move into red zones, means that there's a lot of resistance to sell, a lot of limit orders in the market. So we had the position where Bitcoin goes down a little bit lower. We're moving into these darkened zones, and that could potentially be that shakeout event. So there is grounds to argue that, 65K is still a big relevant number, and it can still go as low as that, worst case scenario. No TA basically trying to find the levels, just looking at the sentiment. So in order, we looked at this chart and I said, last week, and on the last tweet I basically did for the week is, trend support for Bitcoin being bullish is around 68,700, and we wanted to see the target going to the mid 70K range. And we had a little bit price pushing up to about 73, thereabout, and then we went back down, but we overshot. We're actually below where trend support is at this moment. So let's look at this chart real quick. And so it's a 4-hour Bitcoin chart. And I had two Elliott ideas that I shared with you guys. And I'm going to take away the screen because I don't think it's relative. Two Elliott ways, and then I had a hell of a lot of these rays. So I'm going to just quickly delete some of them so that we can get a cleaner picture. I'll take away the fibs from the last setups and stuff that we shared. So this chart is nice and clean. And the comments. Okay, so now you're on the same page of where I'm at. So the problem that I had was that there was two kind of big ideas. If this is a correction, we could have a 5-wave diagonal structure, meaning that your 4 will go below 1, and it's basically just an overlap. It's nothing other than the market chopping. And then there was the hopeful version where I was hoping that if this is the end of the move, because that's a considerable low there, this is the end of the move, secondary test, we could potentially turn this into a 5-wave structure, which is important that this 4 doesn't go below 1. So if I were to rewind everything I'm saying, is the fact that there's low liquidity in that area means that if the price gets bought up, there's not a lot of market participation. It means that this support at 66 could potentially still hold, fingers crossed. And but we need to brace for a scenario that this could still happen and we can go back down to 65, which means that we're not in an impulse and we should not dream for the fifth wave or that big breakout. We should rather consider that then we have completed yet another sideways grinding chop, and we'll probably at this stage have a scenario where we could find another base, build a base maybe above 65 thereabout, and only then have a clean impulse, meaning that only then we're starting with this. Now, I think personally between the two of between us, I would rather want to see something like this play out, because then it means that there's still a lot more that's going to come our way in a big way, and that would be awesome. So guys, sometimes the market taking the most painful route should almost be seen as a positive, because it means that your alts might still get slaughtered, but it means that the rest of the market will, once it starts moving, really bring in big multipliers, and ultimately that's a really nice incentive. Now, if I'm taking this and I'm trying to just see where the stock markets are at, because I was saying to the guys this morning in the Discord, I'm back trading stocks as well. Prime does give you both, best of both worlds, and it's always wise to just I take benefit of that. I can jump between all the various no, I haven't loaded the website. Now it's loading. So what you can do is, the easy thing about Prime is you can trade all your cryptos, but you can also trade the stock market or indices and so forth. And like I was saying to the guys, if we look at where we had Bitcoin start grinding sideways this year, it was around March this year. So May to March, thereabout. Bitcoin started grinding sideways, but look at what the stock market's been doing. It's just been going up and up and up and up still. The same for the S&P 500. It's just consistently be pushing up a little bit higher. So, while we were looking at trading a choppy Bitcoin, there was easier trades potentially to be had looking at these indexes or indices. So it's worth noting. So where we are with this, and remember, they kind of move in harmony, because if the Dixie breaks down, wrong tab. The Dixie breaks down, that will pump as well. And if I'm going to be honest with you guys, when I think trading, I don't really care much what is the symbol I'm holding, just whether it's going to be making me money. That's the key here. So if I scale this into a 1 hour time frame, there's deep liquidity. We can really look at smaller time frames. Your US 30, which currently runs in unison with BTC, you can see that it came off a hidden bearish divergence scenario where we sold off a little bit, coming back down. But this is the thou shall not cross line for the bears. Okay, so the argument is, from this point onwards, we had strong bullish divergence, and I wanted to see the market push up. Now, I'm looking at really smaller time frames. You can see where the divergence pivots occurred. So I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, okay, so support for being a bull is this, is this level. And if you guys are hearing a ping ping in the background, guys, I do apologize for that. So support for this is this area here, and we need to be bullish in this zone to try and trade to at least this area. Now, price will try and capture liquidity around there, so there will be a lot of resistance again, as you can clearly see. But if you want to hunt along, I would consider anywhere within this area above that red line and where price is now, to start hunting for your longs in that direction. Okay. Now, the same will play out for the S&P 500. It looks a little different on the 15 minutes. So let's just quickly load that one. Everything seems sluggish now. Sorry, guys. Let me head over to comments while this thing decides to load. Good morning, Amanda, SM Stanku, Mart, Garth, Guy, Jerry, and the rest of you guys. Happy to have you here. Did I have a lucky weekend? Yes, I had a lucky weekend. I hope you had a lucky weekend as well, buddy. Okay, guys. So looking at this as well, you can clearly see that we had a big trend. The trend is broken. Then we had a scenario where the market pushed back down. That trend is broken. So there is no trending. It's trying to find a base as well. So it's a little bit of a confluence within everything. Trying to build a base. So if you want to buy support, which is the goal, want to look for a good support area, this would be a good support range to try and trade this into this area. So you've got these big gaps. Price will always try and fill that gaps. Okay. Same for the alts. You can see that the alts, looking Dogecoin on the daily, there was a support level created there. Price is currently grinding down. There's still in a bullish trend according to the buddy indicator, but it is slowly but surely going to start switching those candles light blue at minimum soon. So just prepare for that. Shiba Inu, grinding sideways. It's in a consolidation, so sideways chop. Avalanche, sideways chop. EOS, I mean, I don't really know why I look at that still, but sideways chop. Ethereum is light blue. It's a bullish sideways chop. And TON is red still, and ICP. So we can go through all these various alts, but they're all throwing the same picture. They're getting slaughtered. Okay. So Rocketman, you got it in par. It's really not looking good at the moment. So it means that this kind of count looks more realistic, because what you would expect then is something that will function in a form like this, then probably go back up, and then a 5-wave structure down before we run. So we're probably in for maybe not an October turning into an insane November. Maybe we're going to chop and it's only going to happen in December, leading into a good January. We had a really good January this year. That's when everything really ignited, January to March. So it could be that it only starts in January because of the election and everything that runs in there. Okay, so in the 4-hour time frame, what to do, how to trade, what's the direction you need to consider. I've given you now a lot of things to think about, a lot of levels and a lot of thought. So I'm going to give you a nifty, simple tool. Take the Garn fan. Okay. This is the tool on the trading view, which is just the speed resistance fan. Okay. And all you do is you just use your 38.2 level. That's all you want to do. And you wait for the market to establish a trend. Okay. And then once the trend is established, you wait for it to establish a trend. So you want a low and then you go on higher. Okay. And then you keep that on all the highs until what? Until it breaks the 38.2. Once it does that, then it means trend break. Then you can start looking for another entry. And it's an easy tool that you can use to quickly see whether you're still trending. So if you've got a question, are we still trending up? Simple. Well, there's no trend. So let's quickly have a look. 4-hour time frame. Are we still trending up? So I'm going to put this at the bottom of this low. Okay. And I'm going to say, okay, right. Oops. Let's just move this back there. Okay. There was a trend and there it was broken. So if you were to keep the whole thing, so well, now we're trending, you can clearly see that we're consistently falling out of this 32. So as long as that is the case, this is not a trend. This is a correction, because this doesn't make sense. You're looking at what I'm doing now. So none of this is what the guy's doing is making sense. Yes, because it's not trending. Okay. Now, if I take this from a bearish point of view, take it to the top, right there at where the 5 is, Bitcoin's high from last week. Okay. And I'll move this to the lowest point. Okay. We're still trending bearish though on the 4-hour. So to try and trade, you need to consider that between where we are now and this support level around 68 is currently the area where if we want to break and start turning bullish, we need to find a base and get out of this. So what should you be doing? You should be shorting BTC. Simple as that. Try not to be too bullish on this because it's clearly trending down. Look for your short. There will be probable buy zones or support areas around these levels down here, because although that was a stop limit line, it was also a very clear support area that you need to consider. So Bitcoin could potentially push back down 67. There's enough confluence for that. It will bring it into these kind of gaps in there. And from that point only, break this and start going long. So there you have it. Try and trade short. Let's see if there's any questions, any comments, or anything else other than that. Can you please check Arweave? But yeah, I don't do requests in the morning, but in the afternoon stream, I do have a look at some of the altcoins from everybody. And I think I did Arweave on Friday as well. So if you really want to quickly see where we are big picture, just go check Friday's video. That should still be current. I mean, BTC didn't do that much from Friday to where we are now. Good boy haircut? No, didn't do anything. Didn't comb the hair today, my friend. Still need to go put some, what do you call it, product in the hair. My view on the Bitcoin dominance chart. Yeah, that's a fair request. Let's quickly bring out the Bitcoin dominance. What's this one? Okay. So for me at the moment, the dominance kind of looks a lot like the Dixie in a way. Okay, so what do we have now? There's a lot of data and the lines, and I'm just going to keep it on. So what I'll do is I'll do this so that the line is what the dominance is doing is maybe a little bit more clearly visible. Okay, now the dominance has been trending down, and it has to trend down no matter how you draw it. It has to trend down because as crypto grows, the market needs to diversify. It can't just be Bitcoin like it was in the beginning, and then Ethereum with a few other coins, and then the first alt season. It has to start over time for this to become really healthy. That's the first thing. You need to start getting this, where Bitcoin becomes part of it. So even if you think about Bitcoin dominance, if you were to think of the stock market of gold dominance, yes, that's a tool that we use for safety. But in the end of the day, as there's a strong ecosystem, companies growing, money needs to diversify in those companies. And if they're doing well, their value will grow as well. Okay, so that's the first thing. So long term, I still want to see this thing plummet, and it just makes sense that it does. There was 2,000 coins there and at around the high of this one, and it turned to nothing, a few hundred. And then we went to 20,000 the last time, and I don't know how many coins are there now. So over time, there's more and more to choose. I mean, in the beginning, I could go through all Binance's trading pairs, all KuCoin's trading pairs, and Bybit didn't even exist. And that's my job done. And it took me like 30 minutes to go through all the trading pairs when I started. Now you can't go through everything. It's just like hundreds of them. So that's just the first thing. So the dominance has to keep trending down. Now, if that is the case, where is the area of resistance? Now, I marked it out. It's right here, so around 59.60, because we had that as a support for the bear market in the last instance. Okay, and then we sold off for our bull market, our dominance. This is now Bitcoin going into 2021 all-time highs. And so if we want to see the alt season resume, we could accept that this is going to trend back up to at least to these levels before it goes down lower. Almost similar to what we had prior to, the first initial real alt season. The dominance in the winter, in the bear market, kind of went up to critical areas. Didn't quite go as high as 95%, but then from that point onwards, it sold off again. So the thesis behind what I'm saying is that resistance levels at some stage needs to kick, and kick in and start pushing the thing down. But now if I go to daily time frame and just apply some technical analysis to see if there's some sort of a divergence or something at the moment, no, there isn't. And which means that, yes, volume and interest, and if you look at the dominance, in a sense, it's almost quieting down. Although it's still going up, it's no longer this. So this means that there's alts that explode and Bitcoin and. So there's a lot of buzzing and activity. But now if we're moving into that slaughtering, what everybody's talking about, I mean, the alts are basically quieting down. So if ever now is going to be a time for a big pivotal swing, it means now would be good. It's as close as it could be. Think about this. It was going. Everything was against the alts. And then you have that first engulfing structure. Then a little bit of a time to see whether it's truly there. And then whoop, it just keeps on selling off. And for me, either we in something like this, where we're grinding to it, we'll probably chop around and then maybe even later on have another dump, or we're done and this is going to be where we are, and then we're going to start moving into this. But the way that the candles look here, purely from a movement point of view, sentiment point of view, and the way that we're moving into this area, it's exactly that. The alts are getting hammered and people are giving up on them. It's good for us. Okay, let's see what Ido has to say. Bullish if Trump wins, bearish if Kamala wins. What do you think? It doesn't really matter. Yeah, you kind of answered it there. Because the stock market has stats on this, and I'm going to deal a little bit with this in this afternoon stream. What happens if a Republican gets voted in? into the stock market historically. And all of those will bring you 60-70% probabilities of an event. So where we are now, because there's a big question mark and everything. So say Trump wins. It means that a Republican didn't have 2 rounds, 2 seats, or an eight-year cycle. That's bad. Means lack of confidence. So what will happen? And it was the same with when Trump got out. It was like a 4 hours, so the markets had to get punished according to the stats, because the last time we had a Democrat only had a 4-year cycle. That was really bad for the stock market thereafter. So it's kind of like you almost want Camilla to win, purely because then it will mean that the right guys are in the market, but they're not pro crypto. So I want to see crash ever, from a personal point of view. I want to see Trump win, purely because it's just a sentiment tool, and it's not like everybody, okay, Trump now won, so let's go buy some Bitcoins. That's not the way we think. People buy because they're fearful of losing out. They don't care what the barrier would be then to entry. So the best sale for whether we're going to bull market is Bitcoin actually going up like a bull market should. And until that happens, that's it. Okay. Yeah, there's a few of them. There's Trump coin and we can have a look at some of these memes again in this afternoon stream. But okay, the goal for this was just a short trading video, nothing too crazy. What's the goal for the week? So yeah, going over time now. But thanks so much, guys, for taking the time. Dion, as I always say, I don't do requests this time. Mr. Complicated Simpleton, hello to you as well. And for all of the rest of you guys, have a lovely day. This afternoon, I'll see you, and then we'll look at some of your hodl bags. So we're going to be looking at some of the alts, seeing where we are, what we want to do there. So that's for this afternoon. And then we're also going to be looking at a little bit of a macro data to see where we are regarding what happens if Trump wins, what happens if Kamala wins, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, guys, you have a lovely day, and keep hustling, my friends.
I'll keep hustling.
Subscribe now.